Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. Got some good news. This Pearl Island boa, this was the last remaining non-feeding baby from 2021, and he's finally feeding. So I'm going to say a little bit about that. And while we're talking about Pearl Island boas, I'm going to get out my breeding pair. Well, I'm going to be pairing up in another month or so, so you can see the potential for my next year's Saboga offspring. So this little guy is now about 5 months old, and he took his first meal voluntarily just last week, so it was a real relief. So every year I have a few babies that don't eat, and typically they're from island boas like the Pearl Islands and Hog Islands. And so there's a whole bunch of tricks, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of the tricks. I actually did a video specifically on tricks to use to get baby boas feeding, so check that one out. Unfortunately, most of these tricks just don't work most of the time. I mean, for this guy, I tried different prey items. I tried live, I tried frozen thawed, I even tried boiling, frozen pinkies, which has worked in the past with some other snakes that didn't work with this guy. I tried scenting with a whole bunch of different prey items. I even caught a little baby lizard from the yard and offered to him, which he didn't take, and I was a little bit relieved because I felt bad about catching that baby lizard, so I released him unharmed. But anyway, with this guy, and what I'll typically do with my non-feeding baby boas is when they reach about 2 months old and they haven't eaten yet, I start to assist feed them, and that's about the point where I start to worry that they're gonna have some, they're gonna start wasting away, or they're really not gonna be able to recover if they don't get some calories inside of them. And what I found the most simple way is just to use a mouse tail, and you lubricate it with water or egg white, and then just gently put it in the mouth of the boa and gently push it back. And the mouse tail is not very wide in diameter, so it's relatively easy and non-invasive. And I've seen a lot of other methods for assist feeding and force feeding, and I always worry that it's going to damage the snake either physically or psychologically or both. But with the mouse tails, it's relatively non-damaging or non-invasive. And so typically I'll do that for 2 to 4 meals every week or every other week, and then I offer the food again, and about 50-60% of the time the babies will take it at that point. And so if they don't, I just do it for another few weeks, and then I offer food again, and I repeat the process. And usually most of my animals will eat within another month or so. This guy is the longest I've ever had a baby go without eating and survive. And so this guy went almost 5 months. I offered him a live fuzzy mouse a few days ago. Actually, I came back a few hours later, it was still in there. Rather than give up, I just put it in there, and then I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, because I was doing something else, and 4 or 5 hours went by, and I went to check on it, and he had eaten it, and I was just thrilled because I've had a few other animals that go like this long, and I've had a few animals that unfortunately I lose. They don't eat, and the mouse tail doesn't have a whole lot of calories, so it just kind of buys them some time, but it's not really a substitute for an actual feeding. But this guy luckily made it, and actually he doesn't look too bad. He's kind of skinny. Pearl Island boas in general are very skinny, elongated boa. So normally they are skinny, but this guy does look a little bit thin. But hopefully he'll put on the weight now that he's eating. And my plans with this guy is I'm just gonna get the weight on him, and probably if he still looks good in a few months in the springtime, then he'll be ready for his new home. But really happy about this guy, and that he's finally eating. It was definitely a real relief. So I'm going to have more Saboga paired up in another month or so. This is the female that I'm going to pair up this year. This is a different female than the one that I paired up in 2021. And so she's a 2014 baby from Vin Russo. And I actually paired up this female in 2020, but it wasn't successful for whatever reason. She has grown quite a bit. She's a lot beefier than she was back then. You just can see all the beef on this animal, and hopefully this beef will translate to a nice litter of Pearl Island boa babies. And so she actually looks a little chunky, to be honest. I mean, the Pearl Islands are typically really kind of slender and thin, but she's put on a lot of weight, so she's ready for the winter cycling and, you know, hopefully for the breeding season ahead. And, you know, with any luck, we'll have some babies in the spring. The Pearl Island Boas are one of the first to give birth for me. And, you know, this year my litter was born in May. It was my first litter of 2021. So we'll see what happens in 2022, and maybe we'll have some more of these beautiful Pearl Island Boa babies in the spring of next year. And this is the male that I'm going to pair her up with. This is actually the father of the litter that I had this year with my other female. And of course this guy's in shed. There's always one animal that's in shed every time I want to do a video. So he's a little dull, but you can see there are a really cool, distinctive looking boa. They're mostly patternless. You can see pretty much no saddles except for the saddles on the tail. And they have this really cool kind of pearlescent luster to them, this kind of sheen. Not really iridescent, more like pearly looking, but definitely a shiny looking boa. They have a really cool head shape, this flattened head with this really kind of elongated snout and flared nostrils and these big prominent eyes. So this guy was also from Vin Russo, just a really cool looking animal. Sometimes, you know, the Pearl Islands can be a little aggressive. Mine aren't really all that aggressive. You know, they're aggressive feeders, but, you know, as far as being defensive when I get them out, they're typically pretty docile. You know, they don't really like to sit still. They're one of the more active boas. Probably not the best if you want a pet you can handle, you know, but definitely a cool looking boa. I mean, just look how long this animal is and kind of how elongated it is compared to, you know, something like an Argentine boa or a Bolivian boa. It's almost got the body shape of like a reticulated python or a carpet python, just much longer and more slender than most boa constrictors, built for life in the trees. So definitely a cool boa for the boa enthusiasts that want something a little bit different, the Pearl Island boa. So I thought I'd end the video just by showing you guys this guy. This is actually the last animal that I have for sale right now. This is another Pearl Island boa from the same litter. This guy fed right from the beginning, so he's in really good shape. You know, he's now 5 months old. Really beautiful look. I mean, look at those reduced saddles. You know, they're just really beautiful animals. And so this guy will probably be my last boa available this year, because I have some babies, some Surinames, and they were born, you know, a little later in the year. They're probably ready to go. I want to give them a little bit more time. But we're really getting close to the winter, and you know what I found with some of my latest shipments, FedEx is having a lot of delays lately. I had a shipment go out and it was supposed to be priority overnight. It was supposed to get there Wednesday morning by 10:30 at the FedEx ship center. It didn't get there until Thursday morning. It was delayed a full 24 hours. You know, luckily everything was fine. You know, there was a heat pack. The animal was in, you know, fine shape. But it's always a real nail biter whenever these packages are delayed, and it seems to be getting more and more common. So I don't want to risk having a delay and when it's really cold and my heat pack fails or something like that. And you know, I think it's probably going to get worse and worse as we approach the holidays with more and more delays. You know, so if you've ordered an animal already, you know, it'll be going out in the next month or so. And you know, but this is probably the last animal that I will have up for sale this year. So if you're interested in this guy, you can check him out on Fauna Classifieds, or you can just reach out to me via social media. If you can't access Fauna, I'll be happy to send you some pictures and information. But I want him to go out, you know, certainly within the next month or so. And as far as my Surinames, they're going to be available first thing in the spring once it warms up again and once the FedEx shipping schedule isn't quite so hectic. So if you've been wanting a Suriname boa, just please stay tuned. I'll have some really nice animals available, probably around, you know, late February, early March, depending on how things go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at these beautiful Pearl Island boas. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please shoot me a line. Thanks for watching and enjoy your boas.